Have you tried all the side hustles and countless new things trying to find what you're meant to do? Trying to find that one thing that just lights you up because you were meant for more? Same. I've been through a journey of ups and downs, and I finally found a path that feels right, one that aligns with my purpose. And it's not what I expected, and honestly, it's not how I imagined it would be, but the signs all led me here. And today in this episode, I'm sharing with you what those signs were, where they came from, and how I finally recognized them. Hey there, gorgeous, and welcome to the Influence Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Annie Kilko, and this is your go-to podcast for navigating the empty nest era with confidence and entrepreneurial spirit. I'm that crazy dog mama adjusting to life after kids and quite honestly, still trying to figure out what I want to do for a living. I'm a former boutique owner and seasoned mompreneur, and this show is dedicated to empowering women just like me, over 40, to embrace their unique journeys and thrive in the digital age. Join me for inspiring discussions on confidence building tips, mindset work, social media strategies, and how to be successful as an introvert and essential business tools. I'll also give you the real scoop on whether I think the latest and greatest digital way to make money is the real deal or a huge waste of time and dollars. Whether you're looking to reinvent yourself or take your business to new heights, I'm here to help you chase your dreams and be unapologetically and authentically yourself online. Follow the Influence Over 40 podcast and don't miss out on all the valuable tips and tools to make your business journey and 2.0 era easier. Hey, gorgeous, and welcome back to the Influence Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Annie Kilko, and I'm so glad to be here with you today. I have been on a journey for the past 8 years of self-development, or what I know now was actually self-discovery journey. I want to take you through that and what it looked like for me. This doesn't mean that it will look like this for you, but I do hope that you will get some nuggets out of what I'm about to share. So let's get into it. Usually we all have pivotal moments, one where we can look back and say, that was it. That was the reason, or that was the moment, or the start of my journey. And I am no different. My moment was in 2014. In July of 2014, my mother passed away from breast cancer. It was a hard thing to watch her go through, knowing the end result would be her death. When you are in a situation like that, it is going to impact you and maybe in ways you never realized. After watching her struggle with her mortality and ultimate death, what I learned was this. I knew in my soul that I didn't want to work my entire life at a job that I hated, just to retire and then die. I wanted more for my life. I knew I was meant for more. And that's where my journey with self-development started. Before I got into self-development, though, I started getting creative. It was about 2015 or so, and that's when beaded jewelry became a big thing. I had some, and it was so expensive, I thought. I'm like, I can do this. I can make this. So I went and purchased all the things and made some, and I did it. When I wore it, I got compliments on it then, and I thought to myself, I can do this. This can be a little side hustle for me to make some extra money to help pay for baseball for my son. And I enjoyed it. Even after working a whole day, doing the whole mom duty of baseball, dinner, etc., I still always had time to make jewelry and I loved it. It was a stress reliever for me. And since I wanted to treat this like a business, it took me down the path of entrepreneurship. I dove into wanting to learn all I could about business. So I started listening to different podcasts. In my search for podcasts to listen to, I came across this first one that is probably crazy to say, and you'll probably get a little kick out of this. It was House of Kim by Kim Zolciak. What intrigued me about her was she talked about mindset and asking, believing, and receiving and achieving all of your dreams. And she was the first person I had really heard about talking about mindset other than people like Zig Ziglar. And from there, I started researching more into this concept and came to manifestation. This is where Catherine Zenkina, the manifestation babe, enters the picture for me. Through Catherine's podcast, I found that I had a toxic relationship with money. I went through some of her courses and I started to recognize all the conditioning I had around money and how it was hard to come by and there was never enough of it and you had to work hard to get a lot of money. As I continued to work through her courses, though, journaling and meditating, really diving into why I felt these things about money, I started the process of deconditioning myself of those limiting beliefs, while I also strengthened my ability to connect to my higher self and source. And you can call it source, universe, your higher self, God, whatever you resonate with. I'm not trying to convert you here. But it was through that where I learned how to manifest and how powerful that can be. And after I began making jewelry, I started wholesaling to small boutiques. And when I stepped into that first boutique, y'all, to sell my jewelry to them, I felt this electric shock. I got so excited. And it wasn't just an excitement that I get to make jewelry, and sell it to them. I told you earlier that I knew I was meant for more. Well, I was laser focused on what that was now, because your girl wanted to own her own boutique. So I manifested it. And you may or you may not believe in that, and that's okay. This is just my story. It was a natural transition, though, of making jewelry and adding clothing to what I offered already. So one thing led to another, and I got my dream of owning a boutique. Now, how that came about, that's another story for another time, but just know when you manifest, it doesn't always happen like you envision. Anyway, my dream came true and I opened a women's boutique. When I thought about why I wanted to do this, it was because I wanted moms and daughters to be able to shop together, to have a store where they could both find something that they loved, that they looked great in and was appropriate for their age, a store where they could both do that together. That was my dream. And as it turns out, that was also my unique selling proposition. That's what drew women to me and my store. What I didn't see coming, what I didn't anticipate, was that through my store, I was able to connect with so many women one-on-one. It wasn't what I originally set out to do, but that's how it naturally evolved. I found that I loved connecting with these amazing ladies one-on-one daily, having conversations about their ups and downs and about how they didn't feel good enough, how they lacked confidence and felt less than. And this platform gave me the opportunity to listen to them, to encourage them. I was able to reassure them that they were not alone and help build them back up. And with each conversation I had, I felt so inspired and energized. I felt so grateful that I could be someone put into their path because they needed that reassurance. It made me feel good to know that I could help in that way. And anytime one of them would send me a text, an email, a message to let me know they really needed that conversation, guys, I got goosebumps. And again, that was a sign. After 5 years of building and working in my boutique, though, I started to lose the love I had for it. I knew it was time to move on, and I was at peace with that. So I closed my store. I still knew that I was meant for more, and my soul was yearning for its purpose. Still trying to find what my next step was and what really lit me up again, I just went ahead and did what I was good at. I did social media management for other businesses. I have that talent. I understand it. It's easy for me, but still it just wasn't checking all the boxes. I felt like I just couldn't find what path was meant for me. While searching for that it business, a guru I follow said, if you aren't sure or you're trying to find your niche, what you need to do is ask your friends or your community for words that they would use to describe you, and then ask them things that you are known for. So I did that. The feedback on words that they used to describe me were things like authentic and real and honest and kind and bold and genuine. And things they said I was known for were social media, of course, my dogs, fashion, but this is the best one: coaching, teaching, and helping others. Light bulb moment, right? These were all signs that I can really connect with people, which is what I was used to doing in the store. But I didn't realize it. I still just didn't connect those dots. So that's 2 signs. As I was building out my offers for social media management, I also decided to offer business coaching, specifically though boutique business coaching, because that's what I was familiar with. In talking with my first client, coaching her through ideas or next steps in her business or what she needed to do, I always got goosebumps after those conversations. I was always lit up. My body vibrated with energy. And if I'm being honest, I knew that was a sign. However, I still wasn't confident in being able to do that all the time. Most business coaches that I've known about have been very successful in what they're coaching. And I just didn't feel like my boutique was successful. And from the outside looking in, sure, it looked successful. I always hit my monthly goals and targets. I hosted huge events, that always produced great turnouts. And I was known in the community as the face of my boutique. But from the inside view, guys, I was drowning in debt. Shopping habits were changing and I was losing the love and passion that I had when I started. So I ignored the fact that I was good at coaching and that it lit me up, and I instead continued to create a business around social media management. Even though I followed what the gurus were teaching, I continued to compare myself to others, which consistently held me back. Plus, what they were teaching was that all you had to do to be successful was to make reels and TikToks, to find your community. You've got to identify their pain points, offer solutions through the products that you offer, easy peasy, right? Well, I tried and it just wasn't working for me. It was so frustrating. What I didn't know then, but I realize now, is my strength is in talking and sharing. So while I was making reels and TikToks that they taught, I wasn't using my voice, and my voice is my gift. I was just typing it on a screen. And the reason I was good one-on-one and connected with other women and why it was so impactful to them and myself was because I was actually speaking with them. You don't get that same vibe through a video where I don't speak. Since then, I've learned that. Now, let me tell you how I finally put all of the pieces together and had my aha moment. Usually I'm pretty fast learner, but this one, y'all, it took me a year. I knew closing the store was the right decision, but I had a feeling of peace about it. Even though I had a feeling of peace, there was still a lot of shame I had to work through around that. It wasn't until I worked through some of those feelings of shame and feeling like a failure that I understood those experiences were meant to be part of my story for me to share with others. When I started to share parts of that story, I was overcome with emotion and how supportive people were of me. The reason they were so supportive was because I shared it with my voice. I didn't do it in an email or a post or a reel or a TikTok. That again gave me goosebumps, and this time I listened. I now knew how to use my voice. I felt led to start a podcast. And not only did I start one, I decided to start two. One for sharing my journey in business and what I've learned in the past and what I'm working on now and how other women my age can learn from me, but also one with my husband, Kent, to share our life struggles with other couples. And I had no idea if anyone would listen. And honestly, I didn't care, but I knew I had to do it. Sharing my stories and things that I struggled with, whether personal or business, that has been the biggest aha moment for me. When I lean in and talk about something that is hard to speak about or people don't normally talk about, I always get messages thanking me for sharing, saying that they're going through something similar and needed to hear and know that they weren't alone. And again, every time I get these messages, I get goosebumps. I'm actually getting goosebumps right now just talking about it, but I finally understood that that is my sign. And I have continued my self-development these last couple months. And every time I listen to a podcast, I get a nugget of information that I know was meant specifically for me to hear. First, it led me to a book to read that deepened my belief that I'm meant for more, and specifically that I'm meant to share my knowledge or benefits with others. That was a sign that I was finally on the right path and that doing a podcast was part of my purpose. I was led through another podcast to learn about my human design. Now, learning about my human design has been fascinating. It is teaching me how I am meant to work and what my gifts are. My human design, I'm a manifester, which means I am here to initiate things or initiate people into action. I'm here to get things started. I'm here to spark initiation in others. I am literally meant to try lots of things. Hello, I have been following that without even realizing it my entire life. But this explained and more importantly normalized for me why I have tried so many things. Society has conditioned us that we are meant to get a job, stick with it until we retire. That trying new things or having multiple jobs over a lifetime meant that I wasn't normal, and that it gave me so much shame until I worked through that and understood that this is how I was built to be. I wouldn't recognize all those signs that the universe had been giving me. In diving deeper into my human design, I have learned that I have a defined throat center, which means to initiate things. I have to inform, and informing is talking. I have to tell people that will be impacted by what I'm initiating also. I have a defined gate or gates in my throat. And one of the defined gates in my throat is gate 56, which looks like I believe, or this is what I believe. But it's also based in storytelling. And that is what I've been doing. I've been sharing my story with others through the podcast. And anytime I do that, I am lit up and people are magnetized or drawn to me. All of these signs point to I am meant to do this, right? I am meant to share my stories. I am meant to teach others so they can learn from my mistakes or my knowledge. And the reason I got goosebumps after having conversations with friends or customers or after coaching someone was because I was working in my zone of genius, and that is what I am meant to do. I finally got it. I finally put all the pieces of the puzzle together and I got it. And I am incredibly grateful to all my experiences that got me to this spot. They were all necessary as part of my story so that I can share with others. And I have so much more to share as I learn my human design first and then learn the human design of other archetypes. I can see myself leaning into that and sharing with others to help them on their path. I'm not sure yet what that looks like, but I trust and know that I'm going to get there. And you'll know about it first because you listen to the podcast. So I know I have so many talents that I can rely on, but when I work the way my human design was meant, it means I do it faster, I'm more aligned, and I have more impact on others. I hope hearing my story and all the signs that I ignored or more accurately, just weren't confident about resonates with you. I hope that through my journey of self-discovery, it helps to normalize what you might be feeling or possibly have been through, and you can feel less shame about that as well. And as always, if you ever need help or to talk or want to know more about human design, feel free to reach out to me on my socials. I'm going to link all those in the show notes below, or you can always email me at hello@influenceover40.com. As always, I appreciate you for being here. I love you all so much. Mwah. Thanks for listening, you all, so much. I appreciate it. You can always watch on YouTube and encourage you to leave a rate and review if you feel led to do so, because it does help push my podcast out to others like yourself that may need to hear this. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. Love you guys. Mwah.